Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Roundtable presented by Angie Boulain Associates. We are a real estate team located in the Windsor-Essex County area with RE/MAX Preferred Realty. In this week's episode, we will be discussing real estate fact or fiction. My name is Steve Blaze, Team General Manager, and I'd like to welcome two other realtors from the team, Trista Anderson and Julie Sylvester. Thanks for joining, ladies.
Thank you for having us. Hello, everyone.
So in our business, like a lot of others, we get a lot of questions from buyers and sellers, and sometimes it's, some of the things that they ask, they make sense, but they still may not be correct. And then other times it's misinformation that you'll find on the internet and things like that. So today we'd like to go through some of these questions that we often get, and we also have some questions that have been submitted by some viewers as well, and we'll certainly be drawing an Indigo gift card at the end of the episode today for those who offered up suggestions. So, well, let's get right into it then. We actually have a question from Norma Davidson Gauthier, and her question was, is it better to rent or sell in this market?
Is it better to rent a home or
to rent?
Buy a home?
To rent or, sorry, I think that probably should have been buy.
Or does she mean to rent your home or to sell your home? So rent it and keep it and rent it,
or
to
can
sell
we do
it.
both then? Let's hit both.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take the rent or buy. It's always better to buy if rents are really high right now. So in the marketplace, I found that they've gone up quite a bit over the last 2 years. So I would say if you can get into the market, get into the market. If you're in the market.
Then we lost you there for a second, Trista. Internet connection.
Okay, I'll jump into rent or sell. And I think that just completely depends on what you are interested in getting into. If you think you want to be a landlord, I don't think it's for everybody. So I think it just depends if that's something that you want to do. And if you don't, then definitely sell. It's a great time to sell, but it's also a great time to rent and to be a landlord. So I think it just is a personal decision. I don't think anyone can tell you which is better except for yourself.
It's a very unique question for the individual person. Like, for example, you might, like maybe I might want to come back. If you ever have that thought, like maybe I'm going to move, but I might come back, and you want to hang on to that home because trying to buy again in a later market might be more difficult. So it might just be a good way to hang on to the home for now. If I buy a rental property, I can move into it myself right away. Fact or fiction?
Fact, fiction. No. If you are buying a property for your personal use and it has a current tenant, you have to check with what's going on at LTA regarding COVID. And then if you do want to evict them, you have to give them 60 days from the first of the next month. So it's not even a straight 60 days.
And they can't be in the middle of a lease, right? If they're in the middle of a 1-year lease, you've got to wait that out for the remaining 6 months. Yeah, so there's certainly a lot of things to consider, and you want to educate yourself with the Residential Tenancies Act and so on, and we can help with that as well if you have any questions. Any property can have a secondary unit right now, like an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. Any property can have one. Fact or fiction?
Do you mean like renting out your basement?
Creating a secondary suite or like a, So we're saying no?
I'm definitely, I'm going to say
no.
Fiction on that.
Fiction.
Like now the city's saying like, yes, you can do it, but not all properties are suitable. Like if you have a tiny house on a tiny lot and there's nowhere to put it, and you can't put, like say build a garage and make that into an apartment, there's restrictions on how much, what your coverage on your lot can be. That didn't go away.
Certainly, and potentially, basement suites in floodplain zones and things like that. Like, for example, Riverside maybe, or there's an awful lot of restrictions to consider.
Yeah, how big are your windows? Do you have your fire safety? Is there there's a lot to consider. So no, you can't just throw a secondary unit in.
Absolutely. I have Julie and Mike Anderson asking, why do they allow bidding wars? Are they only more real estate fees for the realtor?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm going to sell your house, Steve, and our job is to generate offers when we work for the seller.
Yeah.
And when we get all the offers in, then we'll take the lowest one, and so you don't pay anything.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. So
the end of the day, you're working for your seller, and your seller wants to get the most for their house. And that's all we're trying to do, which is our job. So,
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we are, the rules for real estate are basically law in the province of Ontario that is interpreted and enforced by the Real Estate Council of Ontario, right? RICO. RICO doesn't care about our commissions at all. They care about, one, providing choice for the consumer. So the seller needs to have choice. Do they want to hold offers? Do they not want to hold offers? Do they want to look at bully offers, preemptive offers, or not? They have a lot of choices available to them. And because it's law, we have a fiduciary duty to our client to work within the law to get them, the best that they possibly can. Depends what side of the table we're on, whether we like certain things or not. Like a bully offer, for example, it can be useful sometimes, and other times it's not as appealing. So yeah, definitely interesting question there. Lynn Pauline and Mary Kunkel both have the same question. Is an agent's commission negotiable?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Now, not all services are the same from all realtors. So if you're thinking of commissions, yes, this particular commission may be lower, but take a look and see what kind of services you're getting for that.
I think as an agent, it's our job to explain what we're providing, what services along with. It's not just throwing your house up on MLS and letting it sit there and then waiting for offer day and saying, okay, let's see what we have. There's a lot more behind the scenes things that we take care of, and communicating with other realtors and exposing their house the most that we can. So I think at the end of the day, you just explain what you're providing, and it's up to negotiating that between you and the sellers.
Exactly.
And it's a base by base situation too.
Yeah, absolutely. As a seller, if a buyer does not close on my home, can I keep their deposit?
No, never.
Yeah, that's tied up in a trust account with generally the listing brokerage. And what we require a mutual release from both parties to be able to release that deposit back to someone.
There can be a direction signed in that the buyer agrees that they didn't close on the property, and the deposit's going to be forfeited to the seller, but that has to come from the buyers and the buyer's lawyer. So if nobody agrees, and the seller doesn't agree and sign off that the buyer gets their deposit back, which they're not legally obligated to at this point in time, then it sits in a trust account, I think, for 2 years, and then it goes to the government. Is it 4 years or 2?
You know what? I can't remember. I'd have to check with Nico on that about trust accounts. Yeah. It's not an instant thing. So a lot of people think that. In fact, I have another question here that I may as well touch on right now, is that if I have a conditional offer and it doesn't go together, I decide I'm not removing conditions, I get my deposit back immediately. And that's a common misconception, that it does take some time and there's signatures of both parties involved.
Yeah, the seller has to sign off on that as well.
Exactly.
So if they don't sign off on it, this can be delayed. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, keep in mind, and then there's accounting departments at the brokerages with the trust accounts, and there can be some time involved in getting you a check cut. So it's not like you're getting, you don't remove today, you get your deposit back today, you go right another home. Make sure that you have a little bit of time there. You expect that refund. The market is so strong, I can sell my home on my own and save the commission.
Sure. Well, you can legally,
for sure. But is it in your best interest? That's what I don't think is.
I would think putting your house on the MLS and having it professionally marketed with all the things that need to go into a listing right now to get top dollar, you're going to lose money. Like if you don't generate multiple bids, you're not getting the prices that the average house is bringing in right now.
Yeah, it's the exposure that a realtor can provide. As soon as your property hits the MLS on our matrix system that we have for realtors, you're hitting thousands of people right away. Whereas I don't know that you're hitting 1,000 people in the first day.
You just don't have the exposure, the ability to expose the property to enough people to make it work in the way that buyers are used to shopping right now. Because we're kind of used to this. Comes on the market, we wait, there's a delay, we look at offers, homes are going for X amount, generally over asking or whatever. Whereas if you stray from the formula, it starts to get confusing for buyers. what they're doing. For example, if you were going to list right now and ask for your what you actually want to get, like your market value. If you're listing, you remember the old days and when they would list a little bit higher than what we wanted, we'd negotiate. If you tried that approach today, buyers would generally tack on 100 or whatever, 50, 100, even $200,000 to your price, depending on what it is, and then say, wow, that's expensive. So
Right.
it's about
we just have a question.
Yeah.
It looks like we have a question from Lynn. Yeah, Lynn Pauline. Go ahead, Trista.
Yeah. So she's asking, can a seller put a listing on MLS on their own without a realtor? There are companies that will you can pay a set fee for, but the MLS is realtor.ca and it's owned by the realtors. So there are companies like Kijiji that you can put your house up on for free, but to go be on MLS, you need to be with some sort of recognized brokerage.
Yeah, only a realtor through a member brokerage of the board can post on MLS for sure. Do we have any more questions there?
No, we're going to ignore those.
Okay. Let's see here. So we talked about pricing your home above what you're looking to get and have some negotiating room. Obviously, that's false in today's market. The market is so hot, I don't need to fix up my house. It'll sell easily no matter the condition. Do we still need to make them pretty and fix up some stuff before we put them on the market?
100%.
Yep.
First impressions are always the best impressions, and they go a long way. So 100% what your first impression looks like. If it doesn't show nicely, then people might not even want to. They might just blow past the pictures and on to the next one and not even think about going and walking in and seeing what it has to offer.
Right. So a good example is a house. A client asked me what a house sold for last week, and it was sold in October for $405, and it was awful, like disgusting. And then the people redid it, and it just sold last week for $660. So I think that can really show you just from October to now. I understand that the market's gone up a bit, but even say if it just sold for $6. So if your house is fixed up, ready to go, gorgeous, move in, people love that, and they'll pay more for it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hiring a buyer's agent costs you money.
No.
Fiction doesn't cost you anything.
And I just want to add to that potentially it could, depending on your situation and what you're buying. Perhaps you're dealing with a for sale by owner where it's not on MLS. So when we're saying fact or fiction, I think we're generally talking about MLS and cooperating brokerages, and generally the commission is paid for through the listing brokerage's commission from the seller. There are some odd times where you may experience that. Of course, a realtor, the buyer's representative would go over that in advance with the buyer, and just so they're aware, they would never be surprised by that. And generally they can take care of that anyway.
Right. And when I work, well, let's be realistic. The buyer brings the bag of money, right, to the sale. So they're bringing the money to instigate the sale of the property, and that's how we get paid. So even when you're buying a for sale by owner, though, you just explain it like that, and then you get paid by the seller's lawyer. So I've never.
It's rare. It's really rare.
But yeah, legally in the contract, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. KJ White writes, it's okay for the buyer to use the seller's agent.
It's legal, yeah.
It's okay, yes. Is it in your best interest as a buyer? Probably not.
Yeah, if we're being, especially in this environment. Like,
you want an agent that's working specifically for you in your best interest. If you're looking at the seller's agent, sure, they're going to try and help you, but they're also working for their seller in their best interest. So there becomes that fine line of how do you help both people at the same time?
Yeah, multiple representation, right?
Yeah, you can do it, but I do think that in this market, if you're looking to buy a house, just simply contact 6 different selling agents rather than working with one buyer agent that's looking for you specifically might not be the most effective approach.
For sure.
True. It's true. Can you get a better deal when buying a home through the listing agent?
There's still
Don't know.
their offer.
Yeah, they've still got to do the work of the buyer's agent, right?
Right. And if we, so if I'm the listing agent and I write an offer for you and there's 10 other offers coming in and you want me to cut commission, I have to disclose that to everybody. And then ethics get involved too. Like how it gets very, very shady. It's not good.
Exactly. In this market, it's nearly impossible as the listing agent to cut your commission. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's certainly not a great way to go about doing business for sure.
Right.
Okay, so we talked about working with multiple agents rather than just one, but here's the one I get a lot. I should remove all of my personal photos before listing my home. Everything.
I don't think they all need to be removed. I mean, some can be removed, but I don't think, like I was saying, and we had talked about in another episode, preparing your home for selling. And I think that sometimes having a few personal photos might be nice in a house. It's nice to know who lived there, what kind of family they had, how they enjoyed that house, because you might have a similar situation that you can relate to.
It's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
In a market like this, all the agent has to do is put the home on MLS System. So the lower the commission rate, the better. We've kind of touched on that already, that there's more to it than just putting a listing up on MLS.
Yes.
There's quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I don't proceed with a conditional deal, I automatically get my deposit back. We've talked about that. Linda Early asked, is the real estate market going to just continue on this upward trend?
Oh, so many people ask if it's crashing. When is it crashing? All I can say towards that is we don't have any indicators that it is slowing down, nor that it is running into a wall. We're just catching up in value here, and we're certainly not nearly the most expensive place in Canada. We've just been on an upward trend for 2-3 years now. So
yeah, I don't think there's going to be a crash. There might be a plateau where we kind of level out at a certain point, but to crash and drop by, say, hundreds of thousands that we've gained in the past couple of years, I don't foresee that being
right.
Yeah, just like everything else that we're seeing right now that has increased in value, lumber, drywall, building materials, bicycles, kayaks, whatever you have that's doing well in this pandemic, real estate's the same way. It's a simple supply and demand, right? We have so much demand, not enough supply. Until we can correct that, either by creating more housing or just the demand dies down, it really should continue. And like Julie said, at what level, who knows? It's tough to tell what this pandemic is going to do at this time. That's for sure. So we talked about the market. Now, what I'd like to do is get into a quick lightning round. So rather than getting into too much detail, a lot of these questions, it'll just be, fact or fiction.
Okay.
Just hit it. Okay, so location is the most important factor in buying a home.
No.
fiction.
Homes won't sell well during the pandemic lockdown. I think
No, that's not true. No.
Yeah. Only some areas flood.
All of Essex County is a floodplain.
Some more than others, maybe, but not.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
you're not safe in any particular area because there's a lot of sources of flooding, right?
Right.
Groundwater, basement penetration, or whatever.
Floor. You're probably okay on the 10th floor.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Maybe.
If I want to sell my rental property, I can evict the tenants to make it easier to sell.
No.
Okay. Semi-detached and townhome style homes cost less than single-family detached homes.
No.
Not right now. No.
No. It's just a different lifestyle, right?
It is.
That's really what we're looking at here. Spring is the best time to list your home. It's probably the number one question, right?
No.
The holidays are a bad time to sell your home.
Not true. Maybe, depending.
How
I
many
think there's less
snow we get?
competition. There's less houses on the market, less competition.
Yeah.
Whereas spring, everyone's listing, so there's lots of competition amongst sellers, whereas at the holidays there might not be as many, but then again, people might be busier and not have as much time to.
I would never sell my own home at Christmas.
Too stressful.
I wouldn't. You know what? Some people, I don't like listing homes when people are going to be gone away. So if people are traveling, I understand we're in a pandemic, but historically we haven't been.
Mhm.
So if they're traveling for family, if they're like this, that might not be their focus. So the very small buyer pool that you do have are super serious. So yes,
Mhm.
you're probably going to sell. Personally, I think that there are a lot better times to sell your house than Christmas.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the kind of market you're in and so on, right? The kind of weather that you're receiving at that time. There's a lot of factors there, but I agree. Okay, so agents know what the other offers are, which is why we blind bid.
No.
Nope.
No clue.
No.
Absolutely not.
We
We are not entitled to know what the other offers are. It's actually law. The details of other offers cannot be shared.
Right. So the only thing that we know is the final sales price. Like the
Right.
listing agent isn't even allowed to tell us what the next highest was.
Right, exactly. Only the winning.
Right. And we're looking at changing that process, and I really hope that they do.
Yeah, something maybe Australia, similar to that, right? More of an auction style, transparent.
System.
That's a whole other topic.
It is.
A home with furniture will sell quicker than an empty home.
Not right now. I think that doesn't really matter.
I've seen some houses with really bad furniture.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, that's a very generalized and broad statement when we're talking about that. Like you said, if you can have the thing fully staged with furniture, but it's maybe old, mismatching, in rough shape or whatever, and that wouldn't do anything for you. Having it professionally staged may be a different story.
Right.
Depending on the home, so in the location. Photos and video quality aren't that important in this market because the home will sell either way.
False.
Fiction, yes.
Mhm.
Very important right now, especially when we're doing so much virtual.
Yeah. They won't even get past the video sometimes or the virtual tour, right? The eye guides that we do, 3D walkthroughs.
Mhm.
It's my land, so I can do whatever I like with it,
Absolutely not.
even if I'm in the country.
No.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to consider, such as property zoning, right? Subdivision restrictions.
Yeah, subdivision restrictions. And, if you're in the country, you might be zoned agricultural. That means you can actually do less with your land. So
You want to do, yeah.
if you want to have a fire, and you're
Mhm.
there's so many restrictions. So no,
Yeah.
you own your land and you can put up, trees if you want, but no.
Yeah. So just make sure that you and your realtor make sure that you determine what you actually want to do with your property so we can make sure it can be done before you buy it. Right.
Right. Somebody asked me if they could have horses on Alma Street, like right in Amherstburg.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a big property, you might think, okay, well, maybe, right? But yeah, it's definitely not always possible to do that. So when you have an accepted agreement of purchase and sale, is there a cooling off period after you've signed?
No, once it's a firm offer, it's done.
You're legally bound.
Now, there is a cooling off period when it comes to condominiums,
Yes.
which is a little bit different. So perhaps sometimes people get confused with that. But in residential real estate, single family homes, townhomes, semi-detached, there is no cooling off period. When you've signed your agreement of purchase and sale and there's no conditions, it's firm.
Can you expand on that? I'm so sorry. So when you're buying a condominium, you have 10 days to go over the documents.
Exactly. Once you have 10 days, once you've received them.
But
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a cooling period. That is a condition to be.
Well, they're calling it a cooling off period, but yeah, basically we get a chance to review everything and make sure you're comfortable with it, and yeah.
As a condition. It's still a legally binding agreement, but if you don't like the condition, then
if you don't like exactly, which is, unless you're putting a condition like that in your agreement for residential real estate, it's not happening for you.
Right.
Absolutely not. Real estate agents love a seller's market.
No.
No.
I have written 36 offers for one buyer.
Oh, wow. You got me beat.
36. I wrote one last night and still didn't get it. Like, and it, like great family. They're on a budget, and
Yeah.
It's tough.
There's nothing you can do
right now for sure.
Yeah. You don't need to bother getting a home inspection on a new or recently extensively renovated home.
Extensively renovated, please get that inspected. Yes.
Yeah. Some of these flips, right? You take a look at it, and it's sometimes you can tell by the quality of the workmanship, even though it looks like it's all brand new. And you take a close look, maybe outside of the photos, even you can get a good idea that maybe you want to have a home inspection done here. But even new homes, I mean, it's great. I mean, if you're using a reputable builder, then great. But you say, some people say, okay, well, the municipality sends an inspector over, so why do I need to hire a home inspector? How long generally is that municipal inspector on site looking at the home? Certainly not as long as.
Right. And if I contract myself, I don't need a Terrian.
It's true.
So there's no Terrian warranty. And like, Julie, if you build your own house and you live in it for, I think it's a year, could be 2 years, but you need to get Terrian if you sell it. So then you have to disclose that to people. And then, yes, I would definitely get it inspected.
Absolutely.
For sure.
That's all I have for today. Thanks, ladies, for going through all these. We made it through. So, I wanted to go ahead and draw a winner from the people that went ahead and suggested some topics. So I'm just going to draw a name here really quick.
Oh, hang on. Lynn just said, it seems like a condition of inspection makes you lose the chance of buying nowadays. Lynn, you're right, sadly. But what we can do is we do a lot of inspections before the offer date. So
inspections,
yeah. If you found a home that you love and you need an inspection, you can book that and get that done in a couple of hours before you even put an offer in on the home.
Absolutely. And my suggestion with that is, if that's your plan, do it as quickly as you can, because today's environment with preemptive offers, bully offers, right, that date that you thought offers were going to be reviewed may move up very quickly with very little time for you to book an inspector. So if you're thinking you want to write, get that inspector over there quickly. So excellent. So Linda Early, thank you so much for your contribution here. And Ben, in our marketing department, will get a hold of you and arrange to get that gift card over to you. So again, thanks. Sorry?
Who won?
Linda Early.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week, because we're going to have a special guest, Phil Teasdale from Blue Jay Home Inspections is going to be joining us, and we are going to go over some of the common things that he'll find during home inspections, things to look out for, especially in an environment today where a lot of times people are foregoing the home inspection completely in their efforts to secure a home. So looking forward to that next week. Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Trista and Julie, for joining.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.